I can think of no more appropriate speaker today, not just because of Valerie Russell, but because of the troubling times we are living in. I can think of no more appropriate speaker than Ruby Nell Sayles. Ruby Sayles, whom I affectionately call Queen Mother, is a trusted mentor and a heated voice in my life. When she wants to tell me something, she hesitates not, puts no sugar on it, gives it to me straight with no chaser. I know you church people, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is only because of Queen Mother that I have learned, even in my anger, that violence is never an option. Never an option. She lives what she believes, and her life bears testimony to that. So without further ado, hear ye her.
Can you hear? Oh yes, you can hear me. Thank you, Tracy. And I call you Queen Daughter. This is the day that God has made. It is a day filled with grace and redemption, with the opportunity to do today what we failed to do yesterday. It is a day that reminds us of God's amazing grace that guarantees us that we are not entrapped in bad history, that we have the power and agency to write a new story that raises us up from victims to be agents and co-creators in bringing God's kingdom come on earth. On this day, we are gathered in the midst of a raging storm in a culture of whiteness that is rotted out with systemic and radical evil. We're gathered with the faith that no God lives forever, that truth that the moral arc of the universe is long and bend towards justice, and truth crushed to the ground shall rise again. Let it continue to rise. Thanks be to God. On this day, I would like to thank my Queen Daughter, Tracy Blackman, our beloved sister and companion, our spiritual guide, who walks faithfully with us through this veil of terror. Her courage and ethical witness give us hope and remind us that God is the ruler of the universe and the author of all of our lives, that He is the manager of our getting down and our getting out. Thanks be to God. I'm deeply grateful to each of you for your willingness to wade in the water and trouble the waters with a living faith that moves us to go deeply into issues that threaten to choke the life out of democracy, our collective spirit, and the vitality of God's church. It is indeed an honor for me to celebrate and remember with you in words and in commitment the spirit-filled work of our dear sister and mother ancestor, Valerie Russell. It is right that we remember that we are here because of the foundation that she laid in a church that was often flooded with leaks. May we prove to be worthy beneficiaries of her labor and legacy in words and in deeds. May we avoid the pitfalls of moral nihilism and move with the pragmatic optimism that held my people through a Holocaust and cultural genocide of enslavement and the reign of Jim Crow terror and state-sanctioned rape and militarized violence in the South. It is also my pleasure and deep and heartfelt honor to be in this congregation with my sister trailblazers, Reverend Yvonne Delp, Reverend Bernice Powell Jackson, Reverend Yvette Flunder, and Reverend Linda Paramia. These women whom the guardians of whiteness conspired to render small, walked and stood tall, with their eyes always focused on the horizon rim. Fierce and compassionate, they fertilized and expanded territory that opened up higher vistas for all of us, that moved us closer to a mountaintop consciousness. Thanks be to God. I come to you this morning speaking in tongues that reflect my multiple identities as a Black, same gender-loving, Southern Black woman who has needed to go sometimes into very dangerous spaces to find the sound of all of my names. I come to you this morning as a beneficiary of a counterculture right relations and education that generations of Black women who specialize in making what seemed impossible wholly possible. To them I say, thanks be to God. I come to you today with a heart deeply laden with the troubling in the land. It is a troubling that rises up out of the very soul of a culture of whiteness that engages today in a chronic, pernicious disease of ethnic cleansing, dehumanization, vilification, state-sanctioned rape, commodification, captivity, and dispersion of Black and brown refugees in this country. And we call them immigrants, and we call them migrants, and in doing that, we become co-conspirators in covering up their real identities. They are refugees, and the Hebrew scripture and the gospel tells us what is our responsibility to how we should treat refugees. And because we are so silent, I come to you this morning, and I want to say to you that there's a leak in the building of the church. And that the silence and the rot of an empire church still stands in need with the vision and the mission of the empire. I come to you this morning saying we must unhinge ourselves from the mission of the empire, from an empire consciousness, and we must, like Jesus, go into the wilderness, and we must retreat, and we must struggle with the empire consciousness that's in all of us. I come to you this morning with a deep trouble knowing that the terror in the walls are not just out there, but that the walls are in our own hearts and in our own consciousness. And so the work that we are called to do this morning is not work about other people's radical evil, but it's also work that we must do for our own transformation. And in the words of my ancestors, we must be born again.